Okay. I'm excited about doing a project. I want to build something. All I want to do is build my app. So how do I do that? Well, first thing you have to do is to set up your development environment. So I'm going to teach you guys. This is going to be a tutorial primarily aimed at Linux users, but I'm going to try to just link some videos where you can find the information you're going to need for all the other stuff. Just in case you guys don't know, I'm running Fedora 25. So I'm running Fedora 25. That's the latest one. What I'm going to show you is what do you need to install, how do you set it up if you want to build applications using enterprise Java. Where do you find an application container, an application server? How do you set up your database? Because you do have to do all of these things if you're going to actually make a real application. So to that end, I'm going to take you guys through the steps necessary in order to set up one of these projects, and I'm going to implement a new feature on the Westmont app using the existing code that I give you in the SDK. So hop on over to, you can go to this web page, api.docs.wmapp.mccollum.enterprises, and it will have links to API documentation. It will have links to a Maven repository, a starter project, which is what we're going to care about, and SDKs. It's also going to have a link to YouTube tutorials. So let's take a quick break, explain what Maven is. Maven, if you guys are familiar with the idea of dependencies, libraries, dependency management, basically Maven does a lot of things, but one of the core things that Maven does is enable you to add dependencies to your project. What that means for us is, say we need a library to decode images and store them in a database. So we need to have some sort of library that knows how to decode binary images in various formats, translate them into one specific format, and then store them in our database. Or prepare them in a format that can be stored in our database, because you wouldn't want to have code designed to convert images into database formats and database access code. You wouldn't want to have that all together, because that's a poor object-oriented design. That's something called tight coupling, and you'll hear the term coupling problems if you're reading about design patterns. So you want to avoid coupling problems because they're awkward. So the thing that you're going to want to do now is you're going to want to think of Maven as, instead of going to a website and clicking download on a library, you just put information about which library you want into a file, and Maven will automatically add it to your project. That way all you have to do is use it. So first things first, I'm going to take you through a couple of these links. I'm going to open, so this Maven repository. What's a Maven repository? Well, it's kind of like a website for Maven. Maven is a program. It's kind of like a website that stores libraries for you. So I'm going to click on one particular library, and then I'm gonna click into it so you guys can see. It'll show various versions of a library. It'll show something called a group ID, show something called an artifact ID, and then you can have an extra name or description. Under versions, I can go to artifacts to see a jar, which is, you guys know what a jar is. You've probably dragged a jar into your source/lib or /lib folder of a project to get it to work for regular Java projects. But if I go back to info, I can see this thing, dependency, and then it has the same group ID as you see over here. It has the same artifact ID, and then it has the same version number. So basically, Maven is managed through XML files. Actually, one XML file typically per project. You can have more, but that's complicated. You would basically just copy this and then paste it into a Maven project. So that's Maven. This is our SDK's link. You can see there's a client for Python, and there's a server for Java EE. So right now we're going to cover the project setup that would be required, and then we'll take a dive into how to use each of these in order to set up your project. So for Linux, make sure the following packages are installed: Eclipse Marketplace Client. You guys don't really have to worry about what these packages are or what they do, but you will need them for development. So I'm going to install them. Keep in mind, I still have Eclipse for C++, but I've removed everything else. So I'm going to install Eclipse, all of the Eclipse packages. And so keep in mind, while this is installing, Eclipse is very modular, so you can have one installation of Eclipse that includes support for all kinds of different Eclipse plugins. So one of the plugins that's being installed here is, as you can see on the screen here, Eclipse PyDev, and that actually provides Python support inside of Eclipse. So if you want to work on Python code, which we will probably want to, you can use Python inside Eclipse. And if you guys have taken CS10 with Dr. Patterson, you will have used some Python, and you'll probably be pretty familiar with it. So all you have to do is import a module, you're going to be done. So while Eclipse is installing, I'm going to go over here, and I'm going to do a search for download Wildfly. Wildfly.org/downloads. I'm going to click this link, and the current version available right now is either 11.0 alpha or 10.1 final. I'm going to use 10.1 final, and that's because I want something that's stable and not an alpha version. As I mentioned previously, when this says Java EE 7 full and web distribution, what it means is that it has all of the Enterprise Java 7 features, and Enterprise Java 7 is actually the current one. Enterprise Java 8 will be coming out probably along with Java 9. So if you're using Java 8 and you're like, wait, I want to use Java EE 8, well, that's not actually really out yet, and it's still kind of being discussed. So you're going to want to grab this. You're going to want to grab the zip. So I'm going to open the link in a new tab. It's going to download. Alright, Eclipse is installed. Excellent. So I'm going to run Eclipse. All you actually have to do to install Wildfly is to download this zip file and then unzip it somewhere. And since I've already done the unzipping part, there's actually no additional configuration you have to do. I'm going to show you what's necessary. So I'm going to change directories into wildfly 10.1.0.final. And you can see so LL is to list files in a directory. You can see this folder called bin, and bin has the binary, so that's just a convention that gets used a lot. So if you're looking for the executable in something that you've downloaded, it's probably going to be in the bin folder. So I'm going to go into the bin folder, and there are a bunch of scripts. The one that we're going to care about is this one, standalone.sh. Standalone.sh is all you need to know about and understand in order to use this. So I'm going to go back to my tutorial workspace. Where I've already imported the project that is featured in the last tutorial. So sorry for kind of giving a backtrack here, but I felt like I thought I wouldn't have known how to set up that I'm describing using casually. So I'm going to take you through that. So one of the components in Eclipse, Saros, needed an update. If you guys haven't heard of Saros, S-A-R-O-S, it essentially gives you the ability to edit code cooperatively, just like Google Docs, but inside Eclipse. So you get all of the benefits of Google Docs, plus the benefits of the fact that you're not trying to edit code on a Word document, you're trying to edit code inside of a purpose-built IDE. So I'm going to actually run standalone.sh, and it's going to, so if you guys aren't familiar with how to run things, scripts, it's doing a bunch of just startup stuff. So it has a main function inside of it, and it's doing whatever you see here. So Eclipse is taking forever and a day to start up, but that's probably due to all the extra plugins and things that I just added to it. Alright, now we're ready to get started. If you remember the last video, we built a simple thing that would give you information about the line at the DC. Well, it's a kind of a lame thing. So I'm going to do something a little more useful, which is going to be bugs. I want to do bug tracking because we have bugs in our application, and if there's a problem, we want to know about it. So we want to give our users the opportunity to let us know so that we can fix it quickly. So, and before I do this, I need to install one other plugin because otherwise I will not be able to use Eclipse. Let's see. It's called Wrapper. It's a Vim emulator. I'm going to pause the video while I install this so you guys don't have to do all that waiting. Unless it's going to be really, really fast. Okay, it's going to be pretty fast. I'm just going to pause it while Eclipse is restarting so that I'm not... Yes, restart Eclipse. Thank you very much. Alright, welcome back, guys. So, Eclipse is now restarted. We're all good. Now, I'm going to direct your attention to the pom.xml file. This is where we add those lovely dependencies from. So, I'm going to rename this project where it says artifact ID. That's the name of the project for Maven. So I'm going to change that to bug reports. And I save that. And on the final name, I'm going to change that as well. That way, it doesn't say starter project anymore. And I'm going to go to project properties, and I'm going to rename the project I think I have to close project and then rename. I think that's how it works. Compare with source. I don't remember how to do it. No, I can't say I remember how to do this. Let me give it a quick Google. So I was being pretty ridiculous. It's actually as simple as using the same button that you would typically use. You go to refactor. Looking for refactor. So you just go up here, you right-click the project, and apparently the rename button was there the whole time. So it's complaining that it's out of sync. I'm going to refresh the project, and then I'm going to rename it. So I'm going to call this bug report. Alright, it's going to resynchronize everything. Now you see under Maven dependencies, it's actually pulling in a bunch of extra stuff. It's pulling in SSAuth client, which is a dependency for providing the authentication and authorization stuff for our application. It's pulling in some other things that you probably didn't see in the pom.xml, and there's a reason for that. If you created something that's a Maven dependency, it might itself need other libraries. So if you write something that is designed to manage videos, you might pull in a library that someone else wrote that understands how to read information from videos. And your library is adding some extra functionality on top of that. So we only have two dependencies. One of them is the Enterprise Java APIs, and that annotation, that scope provided means that you don't need to add them into the project. Just know that they're going to be on the server that they go onto, so don't worry about whether or not they're in the Maven dependencies. And there's an API jar, which has essentially just interfaces for those classes. It doesn't actually have real implementations of the classes. It's just enough for Eclipse to be able to compile the project and pretend that it's really there, even though it's not going to package it. Alright, I'm going to close that. Now, I'm going to go to source. Let's see, I'm going to refactor this. I'm going to change that to bug report. And I'm going to open this. Path is going to be bugs, because that's what we care about. And then bugs service. change the path to bug, just bug. And then I'm going to delete all of this because it doesn't really matter right now. And Eclipse is going to say, well, gee, what do you want me to do about all these annotations? Well, I'm going to delete those as well, just so you guys can see what it looks like to start with a clean slate. So, what do you want to do? You might want to add bugs to the system. So, public void report bug, and then your report bug function probably should take something that describes what a bug is. So now I'm going to have to create a bug class. I'm going to call it bug report because each bug is a bug report. Now I'm going to give it an identification number, which we'll see why this is important in a minute. String is going to be description, and the description is just whatever information it's about. String for which subsystem it's in, which module, like where is the bug. So we would call that bug scope. This could be iPhone app, or shuttle, or course registration. So these are things that people would put in. And then let's have a list of tags. And Eclipse doesn't know what a list is, so we're going to make sure we import java.util. And then Eclipse doesn't know what a tag is. It has some import options, but I actually want to create my own tag. And it's going to be very simple. I'm going to do list bug reports to give us information about which bug reports is this tag associated with. String name. Alright, so we've actually created all of the data types that we're going to need. And I'm going to show you in just a minute how you can use plain Java to save every one of these things into the database. No additional work required. So, how do we do that? Well, first of all, we have to have an empty constructor. So you can put stuff here. You can put code in there. You just can't have it. You just have to have at least one constructor that doesn't take any parameters. You can have as many other constructors as you want, but you have to have at least one that doesn't take parameters. I will explain that at a later time. Then we have to put this at the top. It's an annotation. Google Java annotations, basically they're almost like comments that a Java server can read. So they understand what each comment means. So I'm going to put @ symbol and then entity, and I'm going to hit Control Space to complete it. You see this javax.persistence.entity. I'm going to click that one because that's the one I want. This is an entity. An entity just means that you can save it into the database. There's a little more going on there than that, but fundamentally that's what we're going to use here. And then I'm going to put XML root element. That gives JAX-RS enough information to decode our class into XML if we want. And then also we have that identification number, right? You might think you want to include the name as the identification number, and that's good for humans, but it's bad for computers. And when you're using a database, you need some sort of identification number, and long type is good for that. So I'm going to put @ID javax.persistence.id is the annotation that I'm going to use, and then I'm going to go at generated value, and then I'm going to put strategy equals identity. If you hit control space, it'll autocomplete all of the things that I'm typing, and then just like your standard Java, you notice I didn't put public, private, protected here. For what we're doing, it doesn't matter. So I'm going to go to source. I'm going to do generate getters and setters. Yeah, we want getters and setters for all of them, except for each of the lists. We want to add a check to see if tags has been initialized. So if tags equals no, tags equals new linked list. And we're going to import linked list and then return tags. That way, if we set up the class and the list isn't there, we don't have to worry about it. Now, you're probably wondering how this list is going to get saved into the database, or if you're not, you should be. So I'm going to do at many to many. So I'm going to show the Java doc here for a minute. Specifies a many-valued association with a many-to-many multiplicity. Every many-to-many association has two sides, the owning side and the non-owning or inverse side. The join table is specified on the owning side. If the association is bidirectional, either side may be designated as the owning side. If the relationship is bidirectional, the non-owning side must use the mapped by element of the many-to-many annotation. That's a long-winded way of saying, hey, both the tag and the bug report are going to have lists. Each bug report has a list of tags, but each tag has a list of bug reports. Because as a user, when you're using this bug reporting system, you might want to be able to look at other people's bug reports on similar issues. So that's why we're going to have a list there. And that's what tags are for, right? And you've seen this kind of thing on YouTube, and I don't remember if Facebook has something like that, but so we're going to do the same thing. We're going to put at entity, at XML root element, at ID, at generated value, strategy equals identity. Don't worry about what I'm doing right here, but just know that this is what you need to start off with. And then I'm going to create my empty constructor. And then I'm going to create getters and setters for everything. I'm going to do the same thing, get bug reports. If bug reports is null, bug reports equals new linked list. Why am I using a linked list, you might ask? Because linked lists are quick to add things to. You don't have to allocate a new array, unlike array list. They're very slow for accessing a bunch of elements, but when we're creating, the only time we're actually going to need to create a new linked list when we use this getter is the first time the class is used. So the first time you add the class, you're probably going to create one element and add it to it. So there's almost no point in using an array list. It's faster just to create a linked list, add a couple of elements, and then save it into the database. Okay. This looks good. This is what we wanted. Now the question is, do tags own bug reports, or do bug reports own tags? And this is kind of an object-oriented design philosophy question. So you might say it doesn't matter, but we need to at least specify something. For the purposes of bugs, we're probably going to want to make it so that the tags actually own the bug reports, because most of the time when people are looking through all of the bug reports, they're not going to be looking through the bug reports in order to find tags. They're going to be looking through the tags in order to find bug reports. So I'm going to add many-to-many mapped by, and here's where it gets a little weird, but I'm actually going to put the name of the variable as in this class. So I'm going to copy that, and I'm just showing you guys with the mouse so you can see explicitly what I'm doing. So it's mapped by bug reports, and then I'm going to do fetch eager. I'll explain why I'm doing this in a minute, but because of the fact, basically I'm going to use eager because bug reports won't have a long list of tags, but tags will have a really long list of bug reports. And what eager does is when you pull out the bug report, it immediately pulls the tags associated with it out of the database. But on the opposite side, I'm going to do fetch lazy, which means only pull the bug reports out of the database as I try to access them. And then join table, join columns, and then I'm going to create join column, actually I'm gonna leave the join columns alone right now, just so that we can get into more of the functionality. I'm going to come back to the join columns because those are important, and you're going to want to understand a little bit about how those work. If you're wondering what a join column is, Google database join, and there are join columns, there are join tables. You can create a join table out of join columns, and essentially what it does is it allows you to map lists of things in a database. So if you were working with Excel, this would give you a way to represent lists in terms of an Excel spreadsheet. And if you guys have taken space-time and perfect algorithms with Dr. Hunter, you've heard about adjacency lists, and this is basically the idea of adjacency lists. So a join table is an adjacency list. Let me see. Okay, so we've created our tag, we've created our bug report, that's all good. Maven dependencies. If you guys are using the SDK, it will have generic entity EJB as a dependency, and that's a library I wrote to make database access a little easier. So I'm going to create a class, bug report bean, and the bug report bean is going to be used to access the bug reports in the database. So in order to use it, we have to do extends generic persistence manager, and so the type is going to be bug report, and the key is going to be long. Why is the key long? It's the type of the ID, and you'll see why we need that in a minute. And then don't worry about why I'm doing this right now, but I'm going to add @local @stateless. Now it's going to complain at me, so if you press F2 or if you click here, it'll say add constructor that takes a class of bug report. Well, we don't really want to do that. We need an empty constructor, so we're going to do public bug report bean, and then we're going to use super, And then you're going to use something you've probably never seen before, and I'm not going to explain it now. Just know that it's magic and that it does what you want. So bug report dot class, and that's how you create something to access the database. Now, very powerful here. I don't have to create a bug report bean. I don't have to do any of that stuff. In my bug service, I do bug report bean bugs, and then I do @inject above it. And what that means is, as soon as it needs to use the bug service, it'll create an instance of this class, and it'll create an instance of the bug report bean, doing all of the appropriate steps, which now we can use to access it. So report bug should take a bug report, right? So bug report, new bug. And you typically wouldn't call it new bug, but I'm going to anyway. And then bugs.persist new bug. And persist is basically save it for the first time. So the bug report doesn't exist in the database, but save it for the first time. And to make sure that our users haven't tried to specify an ID for it, we're going to do new bug.setID no. Otherwise our database will have a problem. And we're going to put an @post. So post means that you're going to put something onto the server. Alright, that's actually all we need to do. Now, in here, I'm going to do something else. Normally you return void, but since we're a REST API, we need to return a response, or we can return a bug report. So if we want the user to be able to figure out where their bug, what their bug report ID number is, we want to return it. So we're going to return the value of bugs.persist. And so I'm going to highlight this. So bugs.persist will return a bug report. And the reason we want to return the value that we're persisting is because persist saves it, associates an ID number with it, does all the magic that we need, and then it returns that object with all of the appropriate information. Now, if we use this API, we can actually look at a newly created bug. So I'm going to create one more function here, and I'm going to do @get, and I'm going to do public list bug report, list all bugs. Now I'm going to return bugs.getAll. Now, you guys probably want to see this actually work on a server, right? So, I'm going to go right over here to Maven. And I'm going to, run as Maven build. I think I want to click on the one with the ellipse. Goes package. I need to spell that right. And then I'm going to run that. And the console is going to say build success. Alright, that's cool. What happened? I'm going to right click on this target folder. See, inside my project there's this folder called target. I'm going to expand that. See this file starterproject.war? Oh, got named starter project, so I need to fix that at some point. But I'm going to do right click on this, and I'm going to say properties, and then I'm going to say show in System Explorer. So here's the folder, target, and I'm going to open my folder. Now, okay, so you guys remember how we ran Wildfly earlier? Well, we're going to actually use that bugreports.war file rather. So we're going to go to Wildfly 10. This is where it's installed, and you remember that bin folder from before. I'm going to double click on standalone. I'm going to double click on deployments, and then I'm going to copy the bugreports.war. Oh, so it's not actually it is bug reports, not start a project. So I'm gonna copy bugreports.war and paste it into deployments. Now you're gonna see a bunch of things happening in here. It's gonna find all of the information that it needs to have in its little database, and it's going to actually set up a little database for us. Now I'm going to show you something really cool. Alright. HTTP localhost 8080 bug reports. API bugs. Let me see, did I slash what did I, oh, I called it slash bug, not slash bugs. Couldn't find message body writer. Okay. So something I forgot to show you guys under bug service, I'll explain this later. You're gonna want to put @produces media type, and you're gonna want to use Java EE.ws.rs.core media type .application JSON. I'm going to do run as again, except this time I'm going to do Maven clean. So I'm going to clean up all the junk in there. And I'm going to switch back. It's finished cleaning. I'm going to do run as Maven build and goals package run. And then you're going to see in the console. Alright, it's done. Success. So that was the error from when we accessed that page. Now we're going to go back here under deployments. See where it says bugreports.war, bugreports.war.deployed, and bugreports.war.pending? I'm going to select all those, and I'm just going to delete them. And it created an undeployed. Alright, so I couldn't modify it while Wildfly was accessing it. Now I'm going to go back into Target, and there's a new bugreports.war. I'm going to copy it, paste it into Target. Deployments. Wildfly standalone deployments. Now we can go back to our web interface. bugreports/API/bug. Is Wildfly finished? Yes, it is. Where it says registered web context bug report API bug. Now if I hit enter, I get those brackets. What does that mean? Ooh, well it means that it worked. Now I'm going to use curl. So if you guys aren't familiar with curl, you can use it to mimic HTTP requests. So I'm going to do curl h content type application JSON I to get the response information, and then D for data, and I'm going to do name test bug description, my biggest bug ever, and then I'm going to close the bracket. And then I'm going to close that off, and I'm going to post it. So X post HTTP localhost 8080 bug reports /API/bug, and I'm posting it to that URL because of what it says in here. The project is called bug report, so it's /bug report, and then /API is what all APIs are under, and then /bug, and you can see we have a post. See where this comes in, post under bug. So I'm going to run that. It says bad request. What did it not like? We had the wrong property here. So it wasn't name, it was bug scope. Alright, so it was happy with that. And see, it returned it, it created it in the database with an ID of 1. Now I'm going to go back to our web browser and refresh. There's our bug. We just created a bug. So, thanks for watching, guys. Now that you've watched this, hopefully you have a little bit better understanding of how to actually go about doing this. Catch you next time.